Hi, my name is Dana Hansen, and I am the president of End Zone Sports. I'm here in the corporate office in Tampa, and I am joined today by Julian Rodriguez. Julian, how you doing, man?
I'm good, good. Just staying busy with sports, living the
No,
dream.
I know you are, man. I know you are. You're doing some really amazing things. Hey, would you mind sharing where you're located in the country?
Yeah, so I'm located in the southwest portion of the country. It's Las Cruces, New Mexico. So it's going to be on the border of El Paso, Texas, the western border of Texas, where it meets New Mexico. That's right where Las Cruces is. So we're about 45 minutes west of El Paso, Texas.
That's awesome, man. Hey, did you grow up in that area?
I actually grew up a little bit further west in New Mexico in a really small town called Silver City, New Mexico, only
Oh,
about 30,000 people population. So actually the town I live in now, which a lot of people would think is somewhat small, is actually a pretty big sized town for me, but it's perfect size for me.
that's awesome. Fun fact, most of the places that I lived in when I was a kid and I'm an army brat, so my dad was in the army. We
Oh yeah.
moved a lot. Most of the towns didn't even have a single stoplight. So when we're talking like small towns, I can tell
Yeah.
you small towns.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty small. That definitely beats Silver City, man. There's about five there, so
there you go. Well, I appreciate you making the time. I know you're super busy. Hey, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background growing up? Did you play sports? And what like as you grew up, what was your profession?
So growing up, I lived in Silver City most of my life, actually. But when I was in high school, so my dad's a miner, right? We moved from Silver City to a little town called Baghdad, Arizona. That
Wow.
place, we lived there for 2 years, and that's where my sports career started, with eight-man tackle football. So that's the first real sport that I played, and that's where I started loving football. So I'm a big football guy. I've always loved football. You know, you can see the jacket, of course. So I did that, and then not too long after high school, I did some college for a few years, and I ended up getting into some federal law enforcement. I did that for about 12 years. I was in a rear like a very rural area, even more rural than where I grew up. So I did that for 12 years, and it wasn't a bad job. I really did like it. It was just so rural and far out there. I started looking into other things, and that's kind of what led me to look into becoming my own boss and ultimately to finding end zone.
So just out of curiosity, I think a lot of people they have the itch to do something else, but it's kind of a scary proposition. What gave you the courage to leave like a steady paycheck to kind of bet on yourself?
It was just that feeling of betting on myself. What I thought was when I was in law enforcement, I was starting to do a lot of things, right? And I was like, man, I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty good at this. And it's funny you said bet on yourself because I thought that same mentality. I'm like, hey, we're in America, the greatest country in the world. Look at all these businesses everywhere. Like, I can do that. I can do that. And then reaching out to Enzo, talking to Tony, of course, I just felt right about it. Enzo was just that like home feeling, that transparent, didn't hide anything. There was no kind of BS, I guess you could say, whenever I talked to him. And it just felt right, honestly, whenever I talked to him, for sure.
That's amazing, man. I love that. Yeah, Tony and I have been friends for many, many years. And I know why you would probably like talking to him. He's a fun guy. I think he's a very genuine person, and that's the type of company that End Zone is. I think we're very family oriented. We're very genuine. What you see is what you get. We're not going to pretend that we're something that we're not.
Yeah.
Um, when you started, man, that was a rough time. Like that was COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned Tony too. And I'm sorry, I just wanted to touch on this. I just before this, I talked to him about an hour ago. So that's something that's really cool, right? I talked to him when I first started. I just picked up the phone and called him. You're talking about the CEO of the company. You just pick up, hey, how's it going? I have time. And we chit-chatted over a few things. I
Yeah,
mean, that's just crazy, man. So
I
yeah,
love
it's funny that you brought it up because we just got off the phone about an hour
that.
ago.
He is always there and he truly cares. And yeah,
Yeah,
that
he does.
that is just like the kind of guy he is. So when you started during COVID, I mean, it was pretty slow. That was a time where people were I mean, people were kind of avoiding groups and avoiding, places. So, obviously it probably wasn't the ideal time to start a business. When did things start picking up steam for you?
Probably in early mid February, March 2021. So I had a few months to definitely because I started in 2020. I think technically I signed on in May of 2020. Started really kicking off my first leagues in February 2021. Yeah, but it kicked off. Like it really kicked off. People were ready to come out.
I
So,
love, yeah, no, that's true. That's a really good point. People were ready to go to the theaters and play
mhm.
sports and do all that stuff. I am curious, like when you were thinking about, getting kind of circling back to something you said earlier, when you're ready to bet on yourself. I mean, what were the goals in starting a business? Was it all financial? Was it the flexibility? Was it freedom? Like what were the boxes that you were looking to check?
Be my own boss, flexibility, work from home, bet on myself. All of those were my goals. Obviously, financial goal, it has to be a huge goal. It has to be a major factor in it. So that was definitely important. So I did some part-time private security while I was doing end zone. That didn't last long once end zone got started. Like I couldn't do both because it picked up so fast.
That's awesome. And do you do mostly leagues or do you do the junior program? Tell me a little bit about the scope of your business.
Yeah, so I think a lot of other end zone owners think that I only do the league. I actually do junior too. I just do it at the league setting. And this is my son. Say what's up, dude. Stop. He's actually I don't know if you can see him. Come over here, say hi. He come over here real quick. Look at you know who that is? The president of end zone.
How you
Tell him
doing?
tell him what team you play on.
The cheetahs.
He plays on the Cheetahs.
That's what I'm talking about. There we go.
He had to peek in. So I'll be with you in just a sec here, but all right. As you can see, I work from home too. So
Yeah.
full-time parent. So there's that flexibility option there. Um, I'm sorry, what were we on?
Kind of talking about like the business as it's growing, as it's
Mhm.
scaling, kind of picking up speed and like were your boxes being checked, as you you said you wanted to have these certain things. Obviously we can see the fact that you can work at home, be a parent, kind of do your thing. And you're talking about the scope of your business as it was growing. Can you maybe share I mean, hopefully you're not too shy to share, but I mean, you just hit a pretty major milestone recently and Tony sent me a text about it. Would you mind sharing what that number was?
Yeah, sure. So before I hit this number, my single day sales record was something like 8 grand, right? I've been doing it for a while, and that's a huge number for me running sports to hit that much in a single day. So coming up to one of my last days of registration, usually when I hit those big numbers, I was like, man, hopefully I could hit that number. And I'm at home working, taking phone calls, just like normal any other day, a little bit busier than normal. And it just keeps ticking up, ticking up. And then by the end of the day, it says 18K, $18,000. And I was here by myself. I was in this very chair. And I didn't have anybody to tell. Like everybody's working. And I'm like, who do I tell? And I was like, Cody, guess what? I hit ATK. I like crushed it. And I sent up these emojis. And it was an awesome feeling. Like, it really was. It's not all about money, but man, that did feel good for sure.
No doubt about it. I mean, was that did you, I mean, you said your goals before were about 8,000, in a day. So this obviously did it exceed what you had ever thought was possible?
Oh yeah, for sure. For, for sure. I thought I was already like maxing out at my size because we're already pretty big. So I thought maybe I might hit that, but I was like, if I beat it, maybe beat it. But that was just like more than double it. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was a
That's
good problem to have. Yeah, it was a good problem to have for sure.
gonna have to reset your goals now.
Yeah, now I have to be like, hey man, maybe I need to just bring them down a little bit. I'm good.
So talk to me about, you're not in a huge city. You're not in a major market. But like it seems like the word has gotten out about your program. Would you say that most of your customers come from word of mouth or was it from marketing? Like how's that working out?
So there's a cool feature that we have to look at whenever we're marketing to help us out with marketing. And it lets you know what's working when people sign up. Hey, are they signing up because they see flyers, social media, yada yada yada. Um, for the past probably year, the most by far has been word of mouth because or
Wow.
friend is what it's called on there, but basically word of mouth. So that's really what's driving, our program right now is people out there talking about it. And we are in a rural area, but we're not in like a tiny, tiny area for by any means. We
Yeah.
still have had, some pretty big competitors come in. And I've even talked to Tony about them because when they did come in, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit sweating. So I reached out to Tony and talked to him about it, and they're no longer here, and there's some major names. I won't throw them out there, but there's some big names, so they're no longer here. Um, and like he said, it just helped me sharpen my tools up a little bit and run it that much better. So it was a good thing at the end of the day.
That's awesome, man. So, like I think with every brand, there's going to be high performers, kind of middle performers, and folks that are maybe not, maybe treating it more like a hobby than a serious business. What do you think separates your programs there from, or the way that you maybe run things differently than other owners? Is there something that you do that's different, or is it just more attention to detail? Like, tell me a little bit about what your best guess is.
I think it is attention to detail. And I think it's just not taking anything really for granted. Whenever I'm working, your digital flyers aren't cut off at the top and the bottom. Look professional, and not only look professional, I believe it whenever I'm dealing with customers, talking to people. I am the brand, and I live up to it, and you have to live up to it. That's how I kind of live with Endzone, and I do live it. I know there are other owners who do part-time and do great part-time, but this is what I do to provide for my family, and it does it, but I treat it like a job, and I pay attention to detail, and I love it because there's some days where like I could be like, hey, you know what? I don't feel like really working today. Boop, I'm gonna put it on my call assistant and go that way, right? But I know I can do that because I'm constantly making sure it's running smoothly. I'm paying attention to those details and I afford myself that opportunity. And that's why I like being my own boss because I can kind of do those things and not have to go punch a clock for somebody else.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think that's the American dream right there. Being
Yeah,
able to be in business for yourself and have the flexibility to come and go as you choose, and
yeah.
all that stuff. Just out of curiosity, so how many leagues do you run? And can you talk a little bit about, like how many kids per league, that sort of thing?
Yep. So right now for the spring season, I'm overseeing 6 different leagues just for spring. So we have the sports we run are youth soccer, youth flag football. Those are our two flagship programs. Those are our biggest ones by far. And then T-ball, per capita is right there with it. We just don't go as high on age. So it's our third biggest program, and that one's growing too. And I love T-ball and baseball. It's so much fun to run. And then we also have cheerleading, which coincides with our soccer and football. So they get to cheer for those programs. Really cool to have. Let's see, we also have basketball, which we're kicking off. This will be our first season for basketball.
Nice.
And oh yeah, we have adult flag football too. So we have an adult flag football league over here. So I think that was 6. I hope I'm not missing any, but yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I think adults are kind of left out a lot of times. I mean, I feel like there's like when you get a certain age, like you have some friends that you grew up with or maybe you worked with, but I think the socialization aspect of like playing sports with, some guys, you're making new friends, you're having fun, you're out there, having a good time, but it's physical and it's a different experience. I love that you're doing the adult program as well.
Yeah, and it grows, people hear about youth and then they have heard of End Zone. I'm not joking. It's funny, Dana, because yesterday we actually had our adult flag captains meeting where we meet with all the captains of the adult flag. More than half of them are either have their kids in the leagues, the youth leagues with us, or are referees or are coaches in our youth leagues.
Love that.
So it's fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. Hey, so just to kind of wrap up, I mean, what do you feel like are the keys to running a successful program with End Zone Sports?
Following the program. I mean, hands down, that's it. Following the program. I mean, I followed the program. Of course, I put a little tweak here and there, but like like Tony knows, before I came into End Zone, I was never a coach for a team. I never ran a business. I never was even the captain of a football team before, running End Zone. So you want to talk about somebody who really needed to follow the franchise plan? Yeah, you're looking at it right here. I was as green as they come. So that is the number one that I'll always say is I followed End Zone's program and their plan, and that's really why I'm successful, I think.
Man, I appreciate that. It's all in the playbook. You just got to execute and
Yeah,
and trust the process. So
trust the process. Yeah.
that is great, man. Hey, congratulations, continued success, Julian, man. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're busy. This means a lot. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you, Dana. You too.
Hey, thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.